What's going on, everybody? It's Great Scott's back here with another video on Grand Tactician's The Civil War early access build. If you saw the previous Grand Tactician episode I put up, you know that it was the culmination of a successful 1861 CSA campaign. I expected that campaign, and I think it will be much tougher when this thing is finally polished. But I felt that maybe the material and population deficiencies would give the CSA a challenge, so I want to take the more challenging side. The challenge at this point in the game's development was a bit underwhelming. That's okay, it's all to be expected. But I thought maybe the next best challenge would be to just flip things around and fight this from the Union's perspective with the looming threat of foreign intervention and see how that plays. And I can say that one difference between this and the previous campaign is that I'm going into this complete noob on how the Union's going to do this campaign. Have not played it through at all, so we'll see how it goes. I mean, that's the military balance in 1861. I'm going to get into policy selection. So I read these over before the video started, and there's a lot here that kind of mirrors what the CSA can select. I don't know if I can select their policies if I'm not playing as them. Those are a pretty strong set of policies if that's what I'm going up against. And I'm kind of interested to see when they choose Kansas a slave state. If I choose Kansas a free state, who gets it? So I'm not really sure. So the way to find out would be to do it. Quickly, I'm going to talk about the ones that I'm kind of leaning towards not doing. The Underground Railroad seems like one of those things that's going to work on the economy over the long term, but it doesn't seem like it's going to derive much of a short-term benefit. Support abolitionism. The benefit to me doesn't seem all that important, right? Southern support in all northern states greatly decreased. Okay, but I plan on that being pretty low anyways. And I think a lot of this comes down to how you do in battles and the economy you have supporting. And so, whether support is a little bit high, a little bit low. Plus, just to key in what I'm thinking of doing Kansas a free state. Because again, I want to see what happens when both the USA and CSA select it as theirs. But the other reason is that the other benefit to Kansas a free state is that it also increases support for the Union in other free states. So it won't help me as much in the border ones, obviously, but that should get me some of the benefit that I would get by supporting abolitionism. Plus, I might actually get a state, or at the very least keep the CSA from getting it. So this is one of the ones I'm thinking of. Enforced neutrality, the explanation as to what it gives me is so vague, and what I can discern from it doesn't seem all that important. I'm just thinking about, no, don't do it. I don't really care what the CSA does in Latin America in some way. I mean, I know that they can't take a whole lot of territory anyways beyond the filibustering policy, but it doesn't really give them advantages on the map. The recruitment they get from it is pretty paltry in the times I tried it as the CSA. Improving relations with Europeans is not a bad idea, but I'm not sure that I need to do it. Because again, we're trying to win this on the battlefield relatively quickly, dissuade them from intervening. Security measures. Again, the explanation is that the Confederacy is going to start the game with 50% fewer ships and weapons. Okay, that's fine. But again, as CSA last time, I found that I didn't take arms agents from CSA, but I didn't find that we had any problem getting basic weapons out there. So I'm not sure that at this stage in the game's development this matters all that much, and this kind of seems like something that's going to give you maybe a short-term perk, but then it may not pay off if the campaign does go a bit longer. Native allies, let's see, also it increases northern support in Indian territory considerably, allowing for recruitments. Now I wonder, I didn't read that last part when I was reviewing these, I thought I knew it all. Indian territory usually starts as CSA, even when you don't select native allies. They'll get it. If you don't select native allies, CSA, I believe, cannot recruit from those in Indian territory, but I believe it does secede. I wonder if this would increase the support enough to keep them from seceding. I'm not likely to take it, only because if I don't get Kansas and it stays neutral or de facto union by not seceding, then it's cut off. Right? Indian Territory's down here, and if we can't control Kansas, it seems like it's going to be a liability. And again, the populations that the numbers of recruits I was able to get were not impressive. So I'd be on the fence about that one. The Union Pacific Railroad seems a lot like the Southern Pacific Railroad for the CSA. Game will start with the Union Pacific Railroad Belt and the Union controlling trade to the Pacific coast. I think that happens already. And yeah, I think it happens already. So I'm not sure, unless it's going to build more railroads to move east-west, which is, as I found in the CSA campaign, really important. I mean, everybody thinks it's north-south, but actually you recruit your armies fairly close to the theaters of battle. It's really the east-west movement that is tricky. So you gotta, unless you have armies already scattered east-west, it's gonna be a lot of movement. That one's not terrible. But the four I'm basically down to, and I can only choose three, is industrialization, which I just like for the railroad lines and the population. Breadbasket, I like this one. I'm not going to go hard for the European support. Again, I'm going to try to turn the military balance against the CSA to dissuade foreign intervention and maybe to just outrace it. But the idea of being able to feed large armies, that would seem to be important as well. Kansas Free State, I've already mentioned. And go west. Encourage people to move west. So my support in Arizona and New Mexico will increase significantly. I don't know what that means. In the past, New Mexico always joins CSA. So I'm not sure that's all that great. I don't know if it would enable Union recruitment there. That would be okay. But what I'm really interested in is they're claiming that there's large-scale recruitment in California made possible. And I'm wondering how large the scale is. I feel like Kansas a free state, breadbasket, and industrialization are kind of the just solid choices. They're going to derive great benefits early and later. They tend to help in more than just one facet. Maybe less so with Kansas Free State, but I like that it has benefits not just in Kansas, but it spreads those benefits out perhaps to other non-slave Union states, which are most of them, and so that would seem to help. Large scale, I think this is something I'd be interested in doing, maybe just a test campaign off video, and just seeing what kind of recruitment they're talking about, and whether recruitment really is something I need. But I think I'm going to go with the safe and the boring choices, which are Kansas a free state, breadbasket, industrialization, and we'll see how things go from here. And so here we get the brief history of how those policies played out. At least I think we get it only from our side. I don't really know that they're also including yet the history of what the CSA is doing and how those policies play out. Yeah, so we're talking about industry, agriculture, Kansas, Nebraska, so Kansas a free state.
A house divided against itself cannot stand.
Alright, we got it. Don't need that. No, we want that. There we go. There we go. Huh. That's kind of nice about the telegraph lines, because I'm pretty sure those were up in the CSA campaign and nothing ever manifested. So it's nice that you can kind of see how that works. And again, it's just a great map. We are playing, which we don't really need to advance things yet. National morale. For some reason, national support in the Union is very low. start with. I don't know what that's about. But it does say on our history here. Now this is interesting. Arizona Territory joined the Confederacy. That is not something I normally see, or that I've experienced as a CSA player, unless I choose. This might have been. I don't remember if they chose one that gave them Western influence. But if you do that, then the Arizona Territory will join you. This always happens, as far as I can tell. This is good. That means that when both the Union and the CSA choose Kansas, it defaults to the Union, or the Union wins that tie, I guess. Yeah, I gotta find my armies because I don't know where they start. Policies look, yeah, kind of mirrored policies. I would imagine early on. Some of these are. I mean, obviously others can't be. If it's dealing with, impressment of slaves, it doesn't really make. I think this is usually impressment of slaves or CSA. And so this is slightly different. So we'll have to take a look at those as we go on. I see that we start out with 0 out of 8 policies. Now is that... Oh, okay, so that's how we're funding it. It's not just that the Union gets more policies. Well, CSA's balance is doing great. Good for them. So we'll get some policies up and running here. This, I feel like it's going to be obligatory. Probably obligatory. Probably obligatory. Again, diplomacy I'm not really worried about. So how many policies does that give us? Where's the number here? So we give us 2 additionals what we're paying for, but we don't need them. So get rid of those. Industry, yeah. Agriculture, definitely. Transportation, sure. Unless there's evidence I need these, I'm not going to spend money on them. And I believe for the time being we're good on. Yeah, we're good on policies. So I got to find my armies because I have not done this. I'm guessing there are a bunch of fleets. So we got 4 forts around Washington, Fort Delaware, another garrison, squadron, garrison. Probably find the armies up here. I think there is a way that I can find. Actually, no, there are none. Because if they start with a garrison, that means there's probably no mobile force. There isn't. I'm not sure how recruitment goes in the Union. If it's similar to what I experienced in CSA, where there were, well, there are no mobile armies, so it doesn't matter. But the early recruits were I think they were 90-day recruits, and I didn't really feel like wasting the time recruiting them. Though in retrospect, they would have been there for, let's see, basically the whole war. But if that's the case, no thanks. Believe it is the case that when I go for... That's interesting. Can only be selected after March 4th. Okay. So I think maybe that's what we'll go. I understand... If I understand what the devs wrote correctly, if I research the Militia Act soon, then we're going to get blamed for the war. It's like, alright, it's fine. It's probably going to happen. Right? Your critics are going to criticize you. It doesn't really matter what you do. So we do have a garrison down here, but this does... Yeah, this shows up as Confederacy. Oh well. I kinda wish... I know it's in bug hunting phase, not granting wish phase, but I kinda wish we could see the whole country. That's me. This is... Right, this is Texas. Virginia and North Carolina are still in for the time being, but they will leave. Alright, so I'm gonna wait for things to get started, and then we'll get recruiting armies and fighting a war. Alright, we are back, and war's broken out. It's a little different than when I've played as CSA, at least in terms of what the CSA has at their disposal here. I don't even know what this is. Oh, okay, it's the Army of the Northwest. There's this army down here that was Cable's army. And that was around pre-war, but it was usually Beauregard and then Chase, which I think was down there. And something else that I never got as CSA was an army. It was this Missouri State Guard up there. I did have the Western Army down here in Arkansas, but I did not have the State Guard here, which is kind of a nice addition. But basically, as a Union, we got 4 forces. I'm thinking that this one, the Department of the West, needs to be built up considerably, and we'll try to recruit units from the Midwest here to supplement that force. Our friend George McClellan is here in Columbus, Ohio, and then we have 2 armies, I think, in fairly good positions once we can see them. Okay, you can't really see the Army of the Northeastern Virginia, but there it is. Remember, this is a Union Army. And they got about 7,500, no artillery, and the Department of Pennsylvania. They're sitting here across from Winchester. And so, you know, I'm going to take a look at I'm going to start with those in the West, because that force, I think, is actually outnumbered by the Home Guard elements there. So add new unit, add new group. Now this is interesting for me. Yeah, I've never been able to do that with the CSA. The ability to add, I believe these are going to be divisions in corps, I think. And just to fill you in on what happened, when the war, while I was putting the video on pause, chose a few acts, went for the second industry and agriculture, went for the Tariff Act. The Europeans aren't going to be happy, but I'm going to be happy anyways. We got to kind of rely on ourselves. So we're up to 6 policies. Finances I haven't taken a look at. I'm sure CSA looks like they're in a fairly strong position. If this is the total balance is good for them, we can actually raise our subsidies here. I'm not sure what leads to the transportation subsidy increase. Because industry should be this, agriculture should be this. I'm not sure if it was the military one. And it doesn't really matter. I've made a mistake already. This should probably be in the middle, but that's pretty much all that has passed. And then when we went for the Militia Act, war broke out. Alright, so this is for the Department of the West. I just want to see, so in total, right, these are the 3-month ones. So I do want to eventually get the, we do have the option for the 12-month contracts. So I might just wait till that comes through. But once that does come through, we'll see what kind of numbers we have then. But out west here, well, we can rely on Missouri for quite a bit of defense. Colorado might be able to give us an artillery battery. New Mexico the same. Wisconsin we can get some troops from. Alright, so we can do that. We could probably borrow some from Indiana. Not enough for full infantry regiment. Definitely enough in Illinois, though. We're going to draw heavily from that. Hopefully not reducing McClellan's forces too much by taking folks from Illinois. But I think I'm going to go to recruitment. I'm not going to make you all watch that. Again, this is really cool that you can actually add the extra divisions to a corps. I could not do that on any CSA playthrough. So I'm going to recruit for these armies. I'm probably going to rack up a lot of debt, but we want to get our armies up and moving. So once that's done, we will get back together here and we'll get the campaign on the move. Alright, so I think we're all set and ready to go. There are 4 armies to get moving once we got the 1 year, the 12-month contracts for Militia Act 2. We have those, and so we've built up most of these armies. They're going to be awaiting the recruits to actually show up, but we have McDowell, we have Patterson. You see those about 16,000 apiece. Eventually, McClellan's going to have 14,000. I probably wish he had about 30, but that's that. Out here in the West, this is the only one I'm worried that maybe I didn't give quite enough to, but I don't know how fast the Confederacy is going to move on getting their forces. My thoughts are to, once this Harney's force gets his guys, to go and dispatch this Missouri Home Guard, maybe then go down to the Western Army and see if we can deal them a blow. I know from playing the CSA that unless you move Chase's militia up into, we can move it up in Alabama, you can move it up in Mississippi. Once you get independence, you can move it to Arkansas, whatever. But if you don't, there's no real effective fighting force for the CSA that looks like they're west of, where is, okay. Yeah, there is an army there. It's the Army of the Northwest. There's not much that's west of that now, except for the Western Army. And I think if we defeat that Western Army, send it packing. Just wonder if we lost anything by... Yeah, we already have the Oregon Trail. Alright. If we send them packing, I shouldn't have to worry about losing too much out here in the West. Once McClellan gets up, all jokes aside, we're going to push him into Tennessee. I mean, we've still been able to recruit pretty well from Tennessee, probably because we have 35%. The idea is that then Patterson and McDowell's forces, once they're ready, they're going to push on Winchester and on Alexandria, and we'll see how the CSA responds to that. I really don't know. I don't know if they're going to recruit as quickly as we did. So we move it up to 10 times speed. I don't know what the ETAs are here for some of these units. 16, 1 day, 20 days in some cases. It's hard to click around all these flags. Alright, McDowell 9, 1. I'd say most of these armies are going to, most of the units in those armies are going to be ready to move fairly quickly. Let's check on McClellan. 21 days. But almost everything else is going to be there. It's going to be a while for the second battery to arrive, but that's fine. I tried to get Harney stuff from the west. It's got 1 brigade already. 30 days? I don't know what's going on with that. 9 days, 30 days for this battery. So I took a couple of batteries. They allowed me to recruit a little bit from, I think it was Colorado Territory, New Mexico, and I didn't have enough to do anything else. So I was like, well, they can supply me with a battery. If I had known it was going to take 30 days to get it, I wouldn't have done it. Nonetheless, with Harney's group, I will get cav, I'll get infantry, well, I'll get a cav and an infantry within a week. I'll get the 1st Brigade. It looks like a little bit later than that, but we're going to be waiting on quite a few troops, so I'm not going to wait. I'm still going to press and try to knock, I think these guys only had about 2,000 men and maybe a half dozen guns. Yeah, that's still the case. So we'll move on them and try to knock them out, and the others will get here when they get here. I haven't looked at the finances. Yeah, that's kind of what I assumed would happen. Having the CSA too, which also indicates to me that they're probably recruiting very hard. When it went from Militia Act 1 to 2, I lost about 20,000 volunteers. If you remember what it looked like before, there were like 300,000 volunteers, which is incredible, just from playing the CSA's perspective a number of times. But then when we went to 12-month contracts, we lost about 50,000, which is fine, because unlike when I did this at the CSA, where it was like just recruit everybody you can, I'll try to show you, there are still a lot of people that are left willing to volunteer for this. I mean, it basically makes it look like we only recruited 25,000. That's not right, because we put more than 10,000 into 4 armies, and I think it was more like 15,000. So we probably used about 60,000, but we still have a reserve of volunteers willing to do a year of service at 223,000. I recruited maybe too much from the west and not enough from the East Pennsylvania, New York. That's obviously, my mistake, but that is what it is. Alright, the CSA, to their credit, is not waiting around either. They're jamming through those policies about as rapidly as we are. I've not opted to arm civilian warships. I'm not really sure that the Anaconda plan, or I think it was Scott's Snake, is all that important to me. Let me see if I want this. Increase opposition from the southern population. Well, they already don't like me. What are they going to do? Not like me more? And that's not really the issue. I'm inclined to do the Confiscation Act because it's not going to target friendlies, or I should say Union states that did not abolish slavery. Looks like it's only going to go after those in the South. Policies. Northern routes. I have not seen this. I don't see the problem with this. I don't know the downside to northern routes. I don't know if it might direct food away from armies that are operating in the west, but it seems like on balance it's not a terrible idea. Yeah, I'm inclined to do this because we're going to try to be operating in CSA territory as much as possible. I kind of like the Union policies. Again, playing as CSA a number of times, I wish there were policies that appeared to have those kind of payoffs, but there isn't. British intervention, yeah, it's been 20% most of the time, so I'm not that concerned about it. What I might do is, again, pause it until there's something to show you. Once our armies are here and we're on the move, that might make for slightly more entertaining video, so that's what we'll do. So we're ready to move. I mean, not everybody's here, but we have enough that we are ready to move people. So Haney is going to go to try to displace the Home Guard here. I had a little bit of a shift in plan. I've already sent the Department of Pennsylvania to go after the army of the Shenandoah. So this is Patterson's force, I guess, against... This is Johnston's. Just because the numbers are showing that there's a huge advantage. So we're going to send them on. Irving McDowell, I think almost his whole army is here. And so my plan is to send him across and take on the CSA Army of the Potomac. And then the only real change from what I thought I would do while I was waiting to get those armies ready is to take McClellan and to try to march him, maybe to engage the Army of the Northwest. If they fall back, my thinking is to either take this line to Richmond or to take this line, end up in Petersburg, and then move on Richmond from there. So it seemed like I could have sent McClellan down and to just capture stuff, which would have been fine. Right now, it says that the CSA has been recruiting very well. We only have about a 25,000 man advantage. We could afford to have a much larger one. So I'm not sure where those forces are at the moment. They may be down in these armies, and the intelligence just hasn't picked it up. Alright, I think we're having the problem here where folks do not engage. A solution I found to this in the past was to set the armies ironically to defensive, and then they would be more likely to engage. I don't know why that is, but it does seem to be the case. We'll see if we can get him turned around there, but yeah, if that's going to be the call, we might have to switch Department of the West into defensive as well. The downside is, of course, that if there's a reinforcing army nearby. Ooh, do we actually have a fight here? Let's do it. I know this video is going long, so we are going to fight this one, but I'm thinking if and when it loads in, we'll call it a video here. It'll leave us in a good spot to kick off the second video fresh with a tactical battle, and then we'll see what else we get after that. So I hope you enjoyed this one. Again, I'm learning here, and so far so good.